What is up, RetroManiacs? Welcome to the Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Mike, and I am from Mike's Retro Trading Cards. And you know, some people, they actually call us the best three-man podcast in the hobby. And while I'm way too humble to say whether I agree or disagree with that statement, I will say that this podcast is comprised of two highly skilled professional individuals and one guy who actually got his arm stuck between the wall and the table behind me about 10 minutes before we started recording today. Of course, I'm joined by these two guys, Joe Day and EP Eric Pahalik. How you doing, guys?
Highly professional.
Better than you, apparently.
Yeah.
Story.
For some reason, when
Story.
you're saying that, I'm thinking to myself, was EP at your house? Like, what was going on that he got his arm stuck? But no, it was you. It was
that table right there behind me, right about there. I was trying to plug those lights in, and okay. Apparently, when you're a bigger guy like us, if you reach behind a table with, that you pulled out just enough to be able to fit your massively bulging bicep.
24-inch pythons right there.
And then you lean on that table that you're plugging in. That will create a situation where pressure is put on the table and it pinches your arm between the table and the wall, leading to a situation where you can't pull your arm out.
Here's a more common example
cycle
of that.
too, because you're leaning and your arm you can't.
Yeah,
I had a moment of, oh my God, what do I do?
I'm gonna die right here.
I did.
Be able to
I was
get out
like,
of this.
Yeah, my wife.
127 hours. He's gonna have to cut off his own arm. It reminds me of when you open up the car door and you're up against the curb and you're like, oh, this clears the curb. And then you sit in the car and try and close the door and you're like, man, I need to lose weight. Like, that's the first thing that pops into my mind whenever I do that. And I can hear my car door scraping.
Like, huh?
Yeah, you thin people. Dustin, the sports car dad, you do not have our problems. Okay.
No.
Just back away.
Right.
Yeah. So that is how my day started. And just to add to the story a little bit, I was telling you guys about how I had mountains of cards starting to like avalanche everywhere. That was because, I was leaning on the table with my arm stuck and trying to get loose and then starting to knock all the cards over that I was trying not to lean on any of the cards. But like I said, I have so many piles right here behind me that one little card starts a domino effect and utter disaster. But here we are.
Unrelated story. Mike said before we recorded, I need to take some time to get organized. Yeah, you do.
Now you know why.
Yeah, sounds accurate.
Clarify.
You and EP should both take week-long vacations just to get organized. I think that's in the tickets.
Yeah, I definitely should. I feel like also right now we need Mike to install a Ring camera in that room just for such things.
Mm-hmm. I'm an idiot.
That'd be great.
I tell you. But at least I'm not afraid to share my idiocy with everybody.
Yes.
Well, no, like I wouldn't think about that, but that makes sense because I was thinking about that. So then you got your arm down there, but then you lean, and then all of a sudden you can't unlean, and you can't get your arm out. So but EP, it takes your brain a period of time to go like, why can't I get my arm out of here? And you're like, that's what I mean.
Pull the arm out, and it's not registering that you can't because you're leaning on the.
And all of a sudden, you get this pit in your stomach. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Like,
I had that instantly. I legitimately had that, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. How do I get out of it? Oh my God, I'm actually stuck.
We started recording later than we had scheduled today, and Mike said, oh, well, Amy, his wife, had to get ready the same time he did. Now I'm starting to think he was stuck behind that table for like solid 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
No, the table happened after that. So that's why we were even later, because it took me a while to figure out how to get out of it. And then it took me a while to pick up all the cards I knocked. And I knocked a bunch of cards behind the table then, and trying to get those cards, I knocked the graded cards I have piled up in front of those lights. I knocked a couple. It was.
Oh, wow.
How was your Sunday morning is what I want to know.
I'm getting stressed out just hearing about you knocking all those cards over. Remember when you used to stack stuff at the card shop, Mike? And I used to be like, dude, it's stressing me out. Like I would go and reorganize all your stacks. Oh yeah, I've been looking at that the whole time.
Yeah, I mean
it's kind of leaning into itself right now.
That's creating a more stable, pile behind.
It's
like architecture. Yeah, it's like architecture. Yeah,
right. It's A-frame.
Wow. Why do you watch this podcast? Is what I want to know.
Because you want the stories. They don't care about
anybody can tell you about cards and go over the same stuff over and over again. How many people are going to tell you they got their arms stuck behind the table before they record it? Nobody. Just this guy.
Yeah.
But I want to get one thing off my chest before we go here. I want to quash some rumors because they've been going around. I saw them all over Twitter. I've seen comments in our videos that Joe Day apparently is going to leave the channel and go to work with Jeff Wilson, Sports Card Investor. And Joe, I feel like you owe it to our viewers to make a statement on the record right now about these rumors that are going around about you. Are you going to be here or not?
I saw them too. And I would never leave the channel that the three of us started. I love this channel too much. But I'm not even gonna justify. I'm not even going to validate any of these ridiculous rumors. They're ridiculous. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. There's no point in even talking about it. We can just move on. There's no point in bringing it up. I think we can just not even talk about it. Let's just move on from it. I refuse. I refuse to. I just, because it's so ridiculous to think that I would leave Mike's Retro Trading Cards and go to CardsHQ or Sports Card Investor or anything like that. So I'm not even going to validate, justify any of those questions. I think it's ridiculous.
That's not a Mike's Retro t-shirt you're wearing, Joe. What is that shirt?
Oh shit! It was laundry day yesterday, boys.
Joe,
I think I got the wrong shirt.
What's your shirt?
All right, so maybe there is some truth to the rumors. Maybe there is. I don't know. I just, Jeff and we met up at CardsHQ, and he made me an offer I couldn't refuse. But you know what? Joking aside, I did refuse. I said, "No, Jeff, screw you. I'm not leaving this channel."
Damn right.
I love these guys too much, so I'm going to buy this shirt in protest. This $21 t-shirt, I'm going to buy it in protest. It is the only thing I did buy at CardsHQ.
Spoiler alert
for that. I have some reasoning for that. We'll talk about in a little bit. But yes, joking aside, I was at CardsHQ. I did pick up this nice shirt, and he added 3X, which by the way, if you're a card shop owner, if you are a card channel, maybe talking about t-shirts, you need 3X for us card collectors.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous not to. Yeah. I was waiting for the extra smalls or something like that, but no.
I will be more than happy to wear your t-shirt on the podcast as long as you send it to me for free.
Right. But can you get
3X? But
can you get Mike's retro t-shirts is the real question.
Well, good thing you asked, Joe. EP, look down below you. Are they there?
Oh, I see them. They're right there.
They're right there.
And hoodies?
And hoodies. Yeah, we do better than just t-shirts here. T-shirts and hoodies for all of our fans.
Yes.
All 2, 3. My mom.
2,
my Aunt Shirley. Yeah.
My sister.
Rob, if you have an extra small, Rob might get one.
Not my wife. She doesn't watch it.
No. Neither does Rob. I put it on in his room to just like let it play out, because we need that one extra view per video. And he'll come into his office and be like, "What the is it? TV? What is happening right now?" I go, just leave it. You're fine.
You laugh, but try to tell me Jeff Wilson doesn't have 100 different accounts that he's watching.
Come 100 at least.
At least.
He wakes up in the morning, just turns on all 100 computers, play. Has them all.
Absolutely. That's how it works. And Joe, I all joking aside, I think you made a great decision staying here because let's be real. Jeff has way better production than we do. high definition cameras.
This does not play on high
def. These faces are not for high def cameras.
Yeah. EP got, for some reason, was really close this morning before we started recording, and it was like, whoa, Jesus. It was rough.
It is scary.
One thing before we move on to EPs and try, I do want to shout out to our buddy Mike Jones. He had provided me with a beer to have on the pod, but I had been away. This is the first week I've been back in 3 weeks. Wow. And ironically, I'm leaving. So I will not be here next week. I will be in Central PA, but not cool Central PA with you guys. But he got me this peach cobbler imperial shandy from Susquehanna Brewing Company out in your neck of the woods, boys. So I'm going to crack this open. EP drank all his beer last night, apparently. So he has no...
Saturday, I'm surprised you have any beer because I thought I drank all the beer on Saturday, like all of it.
All the beer in the state.
In the state, seriously, it was a thing. So a little bit of Fireball too.
Tasty. Thank you, Mike Jones. I appreciate it. Very tasty. Thank you, sir.
Excellent.
So, EP, what's new and exciting with you?
Well, I don't think I talked about it on air. But we talked about it before we started last week. I had somebody who requested a refund for 2 cars that didn't make it. They sold like May 1st, something like that. And they requested a refund right away instead of, reaching out to me first. I was like, well, that's, typically I say, like when people reach out to me, it's like, let's give it another like week or whatever. Yeah. And typically the cards show up, right? This is through eBay standard envelope. Literally the next day, the day after I gave the refund, the cards showed up. And so I sent I gave them positive feedback, kind of like passive aggressively. I'm sure they had no idea, but for me it was like, okay, well here's your
made
positive
you feel
feedback.
Better.
So made me feel better. Yeah. So, but if you are a buyer on eBay, please just message the seller and just double check. Hey, did you send it out? Well, all that sort of stuff. Give it a little bit more time. It's probably going to get there. eBay standard envelope. Like I said, I've had ones that have gone all the way to California from Pennsylvania and then come back to me because the person's address wasn't correct or the person had moved or whatever, for whatever reason, undeliverable at this address. So like that has happened more times than I've had cards get lost. So yeah, just make sure you give a little bit of time and contact the seller before you ask for a refund.
At least in your case, the buyer waited until the card had taken a little while before requesting a refund. I shared a tweet with you guys yesterday of a buyer who bought a card for like $15. Minutes later, messages the seller and says, "Oh, hey, can you cancel this? I found the card cheaper." What? Wow. Yeah. and the guy was like, the guy posted it and said, "Am I the dick here?" It's like that subreddit. Am I the asshole? No, right. You're not. I mean, but some other people in the comment were it's only $15. Why worry about it? That's not the point.
That's not the point.
The point is not the $15. Yeah. The point is you can't buy this card just in case and then go shopping for a cheaper one. Because at that point, you could just be leveraging buyers. And if you're talking high dollar cards, sometimes you could just be leveraging sellers against each other at that point. Just don't, if you commit to buy something, don't be a dick. Just pay for it.
Pay for it.
If the person that's doing that is going to do it to other people too. So I absolutely would not give them the cancel. I'd let it go the 4 days and then I would cancel it as a non-paying bidder because I know it doesn't do a lot, but I figure at some point if eBay gets enough of those on an account, they have to do something about it. So
because this is not the only time this guy has done that. No. That's how I look at it too.
Yep.
Absolutely not. Especially come on, have we not all done that? You buy the $15 card and then you see one for 12 and you're like, oh yeah.
Shucks.
Bad on me. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And all those people that are saying only $15. Yeah. What about the only $2 or $3 the person that bought it for cheaper is saving?
Right.
That works both ways and whatever. It's the hobby. People defend anything. And we'll get into that.
Yeah, we might get into that.
But yeah. I had a stack sale over the weekend. I had a pack stack sale, one of my original things I like to do on Twitter. And holy cow, I sold a lot of packs of cards.
Hoodie money? Are we talking hoodie money?
No.
Maybe bed money.
Enough. Need to make $50K before I can call it hoodie money. But yeah. But some of the like one of the boxes that I sold that really surprised me, I sold all the packs, all 24, was 1993, I think it was, the Action Pack Quarterback Club. Sold every single one of those. I sold every one of my Signature Rookies Gold Standard cards from
those are fun.
1993. But like it was crazy. Like I had bought a lot of full boxes for this one. I ran a pack sale like back in the fall, and I did a lot of like lots where I bought lots on eBay. I didn't get full boxes. And this time I did, but I was amazed at the number of different items that I sold the whole box for. Like I sold 30 packs.
You mean to an individual or like just in general?
Combined. Yeah. Like 30 packs of 96 SP baseball, which is a great set. And I thought it would be really popular, but I never thought I would sell all 30 packs out of the box. And, you know, people were having a lot of fun. I actually had a lot of fun doing it. Like I like the pack sales better than the individual card sales because like this is me being a card shop again. Like is like I spent a lot of time building up the inventory for this, which I loved. Like I loved doing that, like trying to remember different sets, seeing what I could get for a decent price that I didn't have to sell it for too much. And you know, that's what I did. And this like totally hit me with all that nostalgia of like selling the packs of cards back in the 90s to you guys and everybody else.
Big difference though, Mike. During your pack stack sale, you didn't graze. Like that was you back at the card shop. You would graze. The fact that you sold the action pack and didn't say, I need to pull a couple of these and rip them myself is kind of shocking to me.
The action pack came with one promo pack. Promo pack. Neil O'Donnell right there.
I think I have like 5 of those, by the way. I already have like 5, but take.
And I did open 2 packs of 95 Zenith baseball, and I didn't get anything out of them. So like I felt better about the fact that I didn't, because like it's Zenith. I was like, I have to open it.
I have to. Or Zenith, as the kids call it nowadays, because they don't know it's Zenith.
What? Yeah. That's weird. One of the cool things about that sale is it is like walking into a shop. You can instead of trying to buy a box, you can buy a couple packs. You have to pay some crazy amount of shipping, but you can buy a whole bunch of packs. You can graze and get a whole bunch of different stuff. Like you showed us in between shows your 93 playoff box, and just seeing that box itself was awesome. Yeah, there it is.
Take the box. I have plans for that box.
I want to open one so bad.
One of the coolest. That is one of the coolest boxes. But yeah, to your point, EP, I remember you were talking about this when we first really got back into the hobby. You had talked about doing like repack, not the Ziggy repack, not the thing that Ziggy freaks out about, but you had talked about doing like 90s packs repack and just send them out to people. And I always thought that was a really, really great idea. Unfortunately, you are you, and you work 92 hours a day, so you could never do it. So this is kind of like a close, a cousin of that idea. But I think people would be interested in doing like 90s repacks. I think that would be a lot of fun for people. Obviously, it'd be cheap and things like that. But that was a really great idea when you had it. But you just obviously with you have no time to do stuff like that.
Right.
But then having people be able to pick out their packs, like going into the shop. It's not shocking, even though you felt that you weren't going to sell any packs.
Yeah, he's
30 seconds into the sale.
No, I was
first post in is like, oh gosh, it's not going to sell anything.
That's good luck charm.
We get the obligatory text.
If things are slow, I have to send you the text, and then it picks up.
And then my eyes just roll the entire way around.
I could feel them rolling all the way here. Yeah. All right. Well, we better get into it this week. We have some fun stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
We're going to start things off with the Michael Jordan PMG saga, as I like to call it. This has gotten a lot of play on YouTube. there was a young collector, I think his name Ben, correct?
Yes.
And
Yep.
I'll link his videos in the description below because he has been doing his own updates on the situation that are great, and highly recommend you go watch those if you haven't already. But the gist of the story here is Ben bought what is supposed to be a precious metal gem of Michael Jordan on eBay. It was graded by Beckett and it was graded as authentic and altered. He paid $23,000 for the card. The card did not have precious metal gems written in the text on the front, and it also was not numbered, which, he noticed this, but he's not a veteran collector. He openly admits that he is a novice collector. He had some cool stuff behind him in his videos. So clearly he's a kid who's making a great living, has a great job, and likes to buy some cool memorabilia here and there. And he's not doesn't know everything about it and doesn't act like he knows everything about it. But apparently a lot of people seem to think the card isn't real, because why would it not say precious metal gems and not be numbered? He thought, well, maybe it could be like a pre-production or a sample or something, which I think is a legitimate thing. Other people think it might have been colored in with like a marker, which maybe, but like he showed the card when they got it, the video of it, like that seems like that would be clearly obvious, right?
Yeah.
But
right.
The whole situation here is now that his $23,000 purchase is in limbo, because even though there's eBay authentication, when you're buying a slabbed card, PSA is only looking at the slab, making sure that the slab wasn't tampered with. They are not judging anything in the card. eBay, we'll get into that. We'll get.
I have thoughts. But I have many thoughts.
I'll throw it to you here, Joe. What were your thoughts about this situation? Like, crazy.
Okay, first I have notes. By the way,
I love it.
Notes.
Yeah,
because I rewatched Ben's videos a couple of times. He I think he has up to 3 or 4 now out.
4, yeah.
I also want to give big credit. I'm not on IG very often, but apparently someone on IG originally had this story, and I wish I could remember who it was. But I do want to give credit to Dan the Card Man. He was the first like YouTube person. So anyone else who put stuff out after Dan gets the credit for putting this stuff on YouTube. Yeah. So Dan mentioned this in his video as well. So I feel it needs to be said. We say it all the time on this channel. I know I say it a lot. You got to be more vigilant as a buyer. You have to be. If you think that people in general are not out to take advantage of you, or companies are going to just do the right thing, maybe take a step back, because we joke around. EP's the optimist, I'm the pessimist. EP's definitely the optimist. I think I'm a realist here. I think there are more people.
Pessimist says.
Yeah. Well, EP, do you see the story?
Oh yeah.
Like people do this all the time, and there are so many great people in the hobby. There are, but you can never count on everyone doing the right thing. We had a friend.
Let me interrupt here for a second.
Yeah.
This situation, though, I like that doesn't apply, because you had there's nothing that he should have done maybe differently other than being more knowledgeable and digging deeper.
But that's my point.
As somebody who is not somebody who's really into the hobby, you have a company who is saying this is a real card. It's in their slab. The slab isn't fake. So I don't know. Like in this situation, it's not the same as somebody who just willy-nilly got in. I can understand somebody going, oh, well, this is a company that's been in business for 25, 30 years. They say it's real. This is a real card. Like, I can understand in this situation.
I get that. I mean, he also mentioned several times that he's bought high-priced cards on let me see if I wrote it down here. I buy high value cards. You mentioned Goldin and PWCC buying like high dollar cards on there. I think at a certain point, and you said I don't presume to know anyone's financial situation. 23,000 to him could be $200 to us or whatever, but if you're going to buy high value cards, you really should be researching a little bit. And this one seems obvious. Like the numbering thing, I understand is not as obvious because those backdoor ones that came from Fleer and Skybox, they often come unnumbered, but they still say precious metal gem. They still say PMG on the back. I mean, if you're going to lay out, again, not presuming to know his finances, if you're going to lay out $35,000, and that was his high bid, by the way, 35 was his high bid that he was willing to go to. If you're willing to lay out $35,000, maybe do some research beforehand. That just do something before you lay out that kind of money for a card. Again, that could just be my opinion. Now, I'm going to blame Sports Card Investor here. If you want to go first before I do that, EP, or should I just do it now?
Go ahead.
So I'm going to blame Sports Card Investor on this. So Ben had mentioned he wanted to thank guys like Jeff Wilson for making the hobby accessible and understandable for people like me. Apparently not. Like,
jeez.
So, as you're wearing a CardsHQ shirt.
Intentional. But this is the problem when you only watch people like Jeff Wilson, and he also credited Card Collector too. When you only watch people like that, you only see the positive of the hobby.
Yeah.
They go out of their way to let you know that anything negative spoken about the hobby ruins the hobby. And we, I think, as a group, have said, no, some things are not what they seem. Some things are not as cut and dry. It's not sunshine and rainbows every day of the week, right? Mm-hmm. And whether it is a seller maybe trying to put something over on you, maybe if it's a company not doing the right thing either before or after the fact, if you just watch Jeff Wilson and you just watch Ryan from Card Collector 2, you are never going to see the scamming that goes on out there. And you're willing to then blindly, admittedly, from his own video, blindly go out and throw a $35,000 bid on a card that you admittedly don't know anything about. So sure, Jeff Wilson, and I thought my idea about Jeff Wilson to blame was like ridiculous. And then I started looking at the comments. You lost me as soon as you said you listened to Jeff Wilson, or Jeff Wilson should bear some of the blame here because he is the ambassador. I jokingly refer to him as the Matthew Berry of the hobby. He's like entry level. Like he's not really going to give you like that in-depth stuff. If you just want someone entry level, lowest common denominator type of content, Jeff Wilson is great. The production value is fantastic. I love CardsHQ, and I'll talk about that later, but you're not getting the full story. And I think that's a problem. You need to expand. If you're just watching Jeff Wilson, you should maybe take a step back and watch some other content creators like Dan the Cardman, for example, who dives into a lot of these shadier parts of the hobby that you should really educate yourself on before laying out that kind of money for a card. And it kind of makes me wonder what else he may have bought, right? That maybe is not what he thinks it is. So I don't want to victim blame, but just be a little bit better about educating yourself when you're going to lay out that kind of money.
Fair enough.
To your original question, like I felt bad for him. Obviously, $23,000 again. Like he seems like, again, I don't want to. It sounds like he's bought a lot of higher end cards already, and based on like some of the toys and stuff that he has behind him, I'm guessing he's able to spend $23,000, and it's not going to break him. But I feel like to some of your points, Joe, I feel like he did do a lot of research. I think like he knew that the PMGs that usually sell for like $100,000. So he kind of knew what the price should be. That's why he went $35,000. And it seemed like he was at least at some point, something like he was okay paying for a card that was like not the precious metal gems that everybody else has, just to have something similar to it. It seemed like he was okay with that. Take a $35,000 bid, knowing that the real one sell for $100,000. Made me think that was the case, that he was kind of okay with one that was a subpar version of it, maybe not a fake one. I think the bigger issue here, and I'm guessing this is one of the points Mike is going to make, is the slab, the BGS slabbing this card and calling it a PMG that's altered when it clearly isn't a PMG.
I assume we would go through like all the different companies and everyone who screwed up. That's why I just wanted to lay out the stuff about watching Ben's video and talk about that novice side of it first. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about with the companies that
and I mean, at the point where we're recording this, he's sending it back to BGS and they're going to look at it. So, this coming week, I'm sure we should have some kind of statement from them about it, and it'll be interesting because I don't know that it's fake. Like maybe it is something that I'm not aware of. I'm nowhere near an expert on those cards. There are people out there way smarter than me about it, but like one thing I do know in this hobby is there can be weird stuff, one-off printing, like weird stuff that was, supposed to be destroyed that wasn't, that are legitimate cards. So I'm not ready yet to crucify BGS, and I know some people watching our channel will just be horrified with the fact that I'm not ready to crucify.
That was practically giving them the best endorsement ever, Mike.
Yes.
What if it ends up being like some proof card that was only like 5 of them made or something like that, in the sense of being like this ultra rare precious metal gem or something like that?
I do want to say though, possible. Like Ben clearly knew that the card didn't look like a regular precious metal gem. So he did know there was some risk in putting this, but again, we'll get to eBay's part of this too, but we're talking about the BGS part right now. So I don't think yet you can hammer BGS for how they graded this card. Unless, I mean, it's totally plausible with them that maybe it is a fake and it just got through, or somebody missed it, or somebody did it intentionally, or maybe it's something we don't know about. I don't know. I'm going to refrain from hammering them too hard until next week when we know for sure.
Yeah, we might know for sure. Absolutely. And it's, again, this is not a compliment of BGS, but all grading companies do this. SGC had the fake Pokemon cards somewhat recently. We've seen the PSA had been grading some autos that weren't actually autos on cards. Like, this happens all over the place. It just, this one's more high profile because it's Michael Jordan. It's a PMG. By the way, I have a PMG from that year. Just a little less valuable. No, not Jordan. I'm not making that CardsHQ money yet.
Yeah,
maybe later. But yeah, I mean, that's a really good point, Mike. I mean, about BGS not hammering them yet. We don't know. It's definitely an altered card. They labeled it altered, right? I mean, was it a mislabel because it should have been an altered base card, right? Like, someone submitted it. The seller submitted it as a PMG. You have to fill out that paperwork. Doesn't matter what grading company it is. You have to put in what you are submitting. So I don't know if they misrepresented it, if BGS, maybe it was a base card that was colored in, or someone mentioned putting like a red film over it. I don't know, but until they actually get the card back and are able to look at it, I mean, let's not throw them under the bus quite yet.
Yeah, it's wild. I was trying to think, like, you would be able to tell. I feel like you'd be able to tell if what marker was used. So if it is a card that was colored in some way, like, again, we talk about the scammers in this hobby, about how they're always like, staying one step ahead and everything. Like, you wonder like what kind of technology is out there that can replicate it, but there probably is something out there, right? Like, and somebody's probably found it.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, one company I feel like I can throw some blame at is eBay, because like, we all know that the graded card authentication is only making sure that the slab is authentic. It's not a fake slab, but you're buying what is in the slab. eBay, listen to me, understand. The people aren't just buying the slab, they're buying the card in the slab.
Are they though?
So
are they nowadays?
That's a totally really when you're talking about certain things, yes. But you can't just say the slab. Like, I'm sorry. Yes, I understand it's hard for PSA to be able to look at a card that's in a slab, but we have to figure out some kind of better system for this that eliminates the fact that you're saying your item is guaranteed authentic. Well, no, the thing that's holding the item, you're guaranteeing authentic. In this case, you're not guaranteeing the item is authentic. And it's a really bad look for eBay. I don't know the fix to that when it comes to all of it with cards that are already graded, but maybe don't call it an authenticity guarantee. Like there's a lot of people out there that don't even know that they're only looking at the slab, not what is in the slab. So there's a lot of blame for eBay. And like, I felt so much for him when he was talking about his initial talking with eBay. We've all gotten that first eBay guy that knows nothing about
cards,
that is trying to be helpful. That's his job, but he has no idea what to tell you, no idea what the answers are to any of your questions. And, you have to go up the chain to be able to get that. But yeah, and I thought it was really weird that eBay wanted him to send it back to go through the authentication again.
Because again, it was someone who didn't know anything about cards, right? Like when we talk about eBay authentication on the show and just the channel in general, I feel like William Wallace and Braveheart, where I'm like defending them at all possible moments, because there's so many people that complain about the authentication process, and I'm a stand for eBay authentication or whatever. I think it's something that in general, as a thought, is good. I do remember though thinking it was really weird, and we may have talked about it on the show at the time, that PSA was their graded card authenticator when they were accepting graded cards from SGC, when they were accepting graded cards from BGS, when they were accepting graded cards from CGC. CGC does the raw card review. Why can't they just do their slabs as well? Why can't Beckett, in that way they can go in and look, and if there is question, they have the technology to remove it from the slab, to look at it more closely, and then go from there. If it's boilerplate, if it's like a card that's, Luca, rookie prism card that there's a gajillion of, okay, whatever, we can see what it is. But in something like this, that's beyond just the slab doesn't look like anyone tried to crack into it, move on. Like it's such, and if that's eBay's charge to PSA, this is what you should do, then it's on eBay. If it's PSA should have flagged that. I'm sorry. Like, enough about cards that you should have been looking at that going, whoa, there's some question.
No number on this.
There's no number on this.
Precious metal gem. Wait,
right. Like you're telling me that someone from PSA who is, or is it just like some minimum wage guy who makes sure there's no cracks in the slab? I need to know. Like I legitimately need to know, because they keep saying on eBay's site, free to the buyer for now, or free to the seller for now, or whatever, for authentication. If they start charging, and this is what I'm paying for, pass, right? And PSA is taking over the raw card authentication. I hope they make sure that it's the actual card in the listing and not just a piece of cardboard that is the right size. Like, are they actually going to authenticate the raw cards? I'm starting to wonder what CGC doing down there with the raw cards. Like, if you're not looking at the card itself or the graded cards, what are we doing with the raw cards? There's a lot of question about their authentication. I still think in general the idea of it is good, but I'm kind of nervous about cards actually going through authentication now.
I'm there with you, Joe. I like authentication a lot. Like I haven't purchased any that had to go through there, but I know as a seller, I really appreciate the authenticity.
Authenticity. Yeah, you're
guarantee.
Good.
Yep.
This is what happens when you don't have a beer on Sunday morning.
Well, and I got like 8 hours sleep last night. I'm all over the place. I don't know what's going on. So, but anyhow, so I lost my train of thought.
Of course,
I did. I got distracted.
Do you have a pen and a paper that you were going to write things down so you didn't lose your train of thought?
I distracted myself. No, I like the guarantee that's something that I think is really good for sellers, and I feel like it's good for buyers. I guess I didn't know that they didn't actually look at the card too. I thought they looked at everything.
Neither did I. I didn't know that either.
That was wild. And I think this is one of those cases, and Ben even mentions it in one of the videos. He mentions about how is it? You're talking about a Jordan PMG, so you're talking like, wasn't the Jordan PMG like one of the most expensive cards ever sold, something like that? Like when you think about that, so on how many different levels at eBay and at BGS, like this is one of those cards that, and even like PSA authentication, like run it up the chain, man. Make sure like somebody needs to see this card and make sure I feel like there's probably as much as we don't want to bang on BGS yet. I feel like there's a failure there where you're not like you got to have somebody who knows these kinds of cards that you take these kinds of cards to, and you make sure it should actually be alter whatever it was in the label like that. In that case, same thing with eBay, the authentication. Like this is a huge deal. I think it fell through a lot of cracks that it didn't get run off the chain. I feel like that probably happened in this case.
Okay, I'm gonna place some blame here because the seller of the card, there's blame here because this wasn't a card that he got that was already graded. He said he got this in a collection of cards, an expensive collection of cards that he bought. But like, was that part of it expensive? Was that sold to him as a PMG? Did he not have questions about it? Like, he submitted it for grading, correct? Am I correct in saying that?
You are correct. And he
so.
sent the screen cap of the submission to,
and you know, like it bugs me a little bit too that he's talking about being out $23,000. He's the one that graded it. You're not. You took a raw card that, if it is not what it was graded as, wasn't a $23,000 card. So you can't take something that isn't a $23,000 card and say it's worth that because somebody made a mistake, and then because of a loophole you were able to sell it through eBay, which you may or may not have known. I'm gonna guess maybe you did, but I don't know this for a fact. But like, the seller has a lot, like, I'm sorry, in this situation this should start with the seller. Like, oh, okay, I will make this right. I'm going to take it back. And I know there are going to be people in the comments that say, oh, you're an idiot. No, that's the right thing to do. And it's probably the legal thing to do because, like, I feel like there's some liability on your end in here. Like, you graded the card. Why did you grade the card as a PMG? Did you know it was? Did you know it wasn't? There's a lot of information on his side that I would like to know, and a lot more, rather just seeing him messaging back and forth saying, oh, well, I'll be out the money too. No, you won't.
The money's a bonus for you, pal.
Yeah, like, it's not supposed to be. If it's not supposed to be what they said it was, you're not out. You never should have had that in the first place. And I'm glad in Ben's last video, he finally has gotten to the point where he made just a little comment about the seller and feeling like the seller really kind of could have done a little more and stuff in this. And I feel like the seller is the one person where there's a lot of blame to go to, definitely right now.
Yeah, the one thing that I wrote down that I really wish I had more information on, and Mike, you said I didn't see this anywhere, so I might have missed it, about the seller had bought a collection. I hadn't seen that. I really want to know what the provenance of this card is. Like, I want to know where the card came from. It clearly wasn't a pack fooled card. Right, like, we know the seller submitted it, and the thing that I was thinking, like, if BGS comes back and says, actually, this is like a really, really rare proof, and it's probably worth like 6 figures, how quickly do you think the seller is going to be like, cancel the transaction?
Right.
Like you know, yeah, you can have your $23,000 back. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of blame to go around to a lot of people. The seller, it starts with them, because
I want to know,
I want to know how you looked at that card.
It doesn't say precious metal gem. It doesn't have a number, and then you submit it to BGS as a PMG. I want to know how you made that decision, how you came to that conclusion. That's the part of the story I need,
because that answers the question, right? That answers the question whether he was trying to scam someone or not. That's it. If you look at that card, and I'm sorry, and I don't want to belabor. Sorry, EP. I just don't. I don't want to belabor this point. But Ben did say in his one video, and I want to get this out there. He said, if research and extensive knowledge is required for someone like me, who is a novice, then we have a problem in this hobby. I disagree with that. I get the point, but in the hobby in 2024, that's where we're at, because this seller clearly looked at that card. There is no way he looked at that card and was like, oh, that's a PMG, and sent it in. Like, he knew what he was doing. Whether or not
I hope this is a PMG.
I hope this is a PMG. That's what
they say.
And if it slips through, I can sell it for 20 to 30,000, maybe even more. So, like, yes, extensive research and knowledge you need it in this hobby because people are doing shit like this all the time in 2024. They just are.
I feel like you should have that kind of like if you're not want to get scammed spending $23,000 on a painting or something like that too. Like you should you need to educate yourself, and you need to be vigilant and that sort of stuff for sure. Joe, you said the word scam, and that immediately that's what I was just thinking. Like this feels like a situation where, and we don't know 100%, but this feels like a situation where maybe the seller's like, man, I got to send this in, get it graded. Hopefully it comes back a PMG. They agree that's a PMG. It comes back a PMG, and he's like, whew, and then he lists it and it sells for 23,000. It's like another moment where, and then he's like,
okay, and then it gets authenticated.
And then, yeah.
Exactly.
And that is maybe not exactly 1-to-1 people trimming cards and selling them, that sort of stuff, but it's adjacent. Like it feels like the kind of thing where if you're doing this every time, every step of the way, then you're trying to pull.
It's the guy who submitted that. I forget what the set was, but they had the autos on them that's not a real auto. And he got it back in his hand, and it said auto grade 10 or whatever, or auto authentic. And he's like, that's what it says on the label.
Yep. Bingo.
That's what I'm selling it as. Bingo. Yeah. This is awesome. So yeah, there in the year of our Lord 2024, watch out for those scammers. They are out there, and educate yourself because shit like this is going to happen. I do want to say thank you though to Sports Card Investor for acknowledging that there is scamming going on in the hobby. It took him this thing to happen to acknowledge it. Now, to be fair, Jeff is on vacation, so it was Teapot who hosted the show to talk about negativity in the hobby. So Jeff snuck his way out of that one. But yeah, I mean, when Sports Card Investors channel is even acknowledging some negative things in the hobby, you know this must be big.
Well, speaking of Sports Card Investor, this is legitimately, Joe went to CardsHQ, and we have not talked about it.
We have not
at all. We have saved this discussion for right here, live in front of the world. So let's get into this. You went to Atlanta, Georgia, and you're like, I'm going to CardsHQ. You send us a picture of the outside. That was the last we know. So take the story from there. Let us hear.
So I don't know, Mike, if you want me to send pictures I took in the show or anything like that, I can put them up on my Twitter and we can direct people however you want to do it. But I did take some pictures, some like 10-second clips and things like that. First thing I want to say is it is a beautiful store. You walk in and it is crisp, it's clean. I call it the FYEs of card shop. You know,
the
like
future of retail.
I don't know if it's that, but
I just wondered.
I walked in and my friends Jan and Brian came with me. It was so nice. Like they even were looking at stuff. Like they weren't going to buy anything, but they were like, "Oh, I didn't know he had cards," or "I didn't know." So it was very accessible. Again, I talk about entry level. It was a very accessible card shop. They didn't jump you. The folks that worked there, it seemed like they were happy being behind the counter unless you wanted to pull them over to pull something up. But you walk into the store and there are those really nice cases. EP, you should get one for your card shows. Those really nice back and forth. Yeah, definitely.
Right, the ones from like Japan or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Definitely. I think about investing in one of those because they are actually very, very nice. They weren't as jam-packed as I imagined. Like going in, I thought every row was going to be card. There was a lot of spaces. I don't know if they just had a big sale or something like that, but there was a lot of spaces on all the card in all the rows. The first thing you saw to the left was Pokemon and non-sports stuff. Very little non-sports. They had like a couple of cases of Pokemon, very little non-sports. You will be happy to know that Loracana was very well represented right at the front of the store. Good. Like a huge display of Loracana stuff. Went through and they kind of had it broken up with different sports. And then I went through the back and they had some more cases. They had some wax there. I took some pictures because I wanted to actually price some of the stuff out just to see if they are, close to comps, since you can't negotiate price. And folks, I had not drank before I went in. So I was not a dick. And there was nothing there. I was looking and there was nothing there I was really interested in. But so, for example, and I took a couple of pictures of these cards. So they had the Brady Victory rookie card. You guys know that one, the white border. Mm-hmm. SGC 9.5, they had it for $300, which was actually $50 below comp. So that was fair. That's the only one I took a picture of and looked at. That was below comp. They had Montana Topps rookie card and a PSA 8 for $400. The comp is $300. So what do they do in that situation? Does someone come up and say, look, I went on Terapeak and it's only $300?
They had the point of their non-negotiating pricing,
right,
is that their prices are supposed to be at comps, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's where I'm kind of like iffy on that whole thing. They had 2 rows filled with CJ Stroud, Don Russ rated rookies, same card, PSA 10s. They had them listed for $75. That's $15 to $20 above comps. They had Wayne Gretzky Topps rookie card in a BVG 7.5 for $1,700. That was a couple $100 above comps. Like, so they're pricing their things out like they're willing to negotiate, but they tell you they're not willing to negotiate. So it kind of makes me wonder, like, where's the in between here? Are we allowed to say the Terapeak says you're way off on this one? Will they give you that card for that cheaper price? A lot of the employees felt like they weren't card. I saw the owners other than Jeff there, but the employees felt like they were more like Foot Locker employees. Like they're just going over to open things up for you. They didn't feel like card people to me. And I could be completely wrong. Comment below if you've been there and you've interacted with these folks, but just hearing the interactions they were having with other people. Overall, it's a beautiful space. They have the cool breaking areas. They have the breaking arena, which is ridiculous. I took pictures of that. They have a lounge area. They call it the kids area, but it was people on their laptops letting their kids go through cards. They had like $5 boxes out. EP, you would have been through that store in like 10 minutes and been like, I'm good. Is it the future of retail? No. Is it a nice store? Sure. I would never consider it my local card shop, though. You know what I mean? Like, I would never walk in there and be like, I could come here every week and just hang out. It doesn't feel like
you're never going to walk in and they're going to go, Joe.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's not Cheers. That's for sure. So again, it's one of those places that it was cool to go and check things out, but it's a place that I'd be totally fine never being in again. You know, if the National was in Atlanta, I'm not saying, hey, let's go to trade night at CardsHQ. I don't think that's in my checklist.
You want to, if me and Mike ended up in Atlanta and we were going to go, would you go in again with us? Like just when,
obviously. Yeah. Okay. But
it's not like you're I'm never going there ever again.
No,
kind of thing,
no.
Just, okay. All right.
It's like going to, Mecca, you go once, you do your pilgrimage and then you're good. But if friends are going to go, sure. I'd pop.
All right. So somebody make sure to put that in the comments. Joe said that CardsHQ is his Mecca. Did you see?
It's everyone's
Did you see anybody buy anything? Like, did you see anybody like say the whole firm on like nope, this is the price? Was there anybody negotiating?
It was the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend, so it was kind of slow in there. There were probably maybe like 10 people in there. So I don't know if it's like what their busy day is. Maybe it's Tuesday nights for all I know. So I didn't see anything like that. I did see people going over and asking someone to open up the case, but you saw a lot of kids in there. There were a lot of kids, a lot of families. I mean, and that's kind of the atmosphere they're going for, right? Like family friendly, they have the kids section and things like that. His kids are really involved in his channel. So, that shakes out, but like, just the idea of, we're going to price everything at comps. I knew that was a weird idea because with how comps are nowadays,
just hard to accomplish.
They're so up and down, up and down, up and down that at what point are you just there's this amount of thickness of stickers on the card because you have to reprice it every 2 days, so. And it was not as jam-packed as I thought in terms of inventory. I was really surprised at how many like just open spots there were. Unless they had a massive deal the night before and everyone was, plucking things out of the cases. I wasn't as impressed. It didn't look like a card showcase that was just jam-packed to me.
What was the end of the month? And they said that they're going to, didn't they say something about they're going to just clear out all their inventory at the end of every month or something like that, and then bring in all new inventory? Wasn't that the one?
Are they doing that though?
I don't know. Right. Yeah. Right. I'm just.
I should have won the 30th and the 1st, or the 31st and the 1st, and seen what the inventory looked like.
I mean, who am I to give retail tips to Jeff Wilson? But one of the retail tips I'll give you is if you have card spaces that are empty, fill that up with other cards that you have as quickly as you can. Because even if you sold them the night before, the next morning you should be restocking those empty spots.
Yeah,
because that's just basic retail. But hey, I'm sure though Michael Rubin gave him all the tips, because the guy who has an online clothing store that doesn't do retail is giving everybody the retail tips. Like, okay,
right.
Well, that's a pretty good.
Just I have one more question. That's all right.
No
the wax was the wax all was the wax all new wax? What was the wax prices?
No. I actually did take a couple of pictures of some wax. There was, ironically, because we looked at the playoff box with the hinge, there was a box of 2000. I think it was 2000. I don't think it was contenders. It was like just a regular playoff. So there were Brady rookies in there, but it wasn't like contenders rookies. So, and it was priced. I mean, again, I didn't really look at the Terra Peak value of the wax, but I mean, the new stuff looked like it was right around what it should be. So, they probably have set prices that they know they have to put stuff out at. No one was breaking either. I didn't see any actual breakers. They had breaking rooms, but I didn't see anyone actually breaking. But
well, that's a good report. See, we get people to scoop. We send Joe Day down to find out. We're not just going to go by hearsay. We're going to go to the source and get.
I have my expenses to submit to the channel too for the meals.
I don't know.
Atlanta was very expensive to eat at, so I have those.
Yeah, send them to EP.
EP gets those. Okay, he's our business manager. All right, sounds good. Yeah.
Well, speaking
I did buy this shirt. This was all I bought. This is all I bought, by the way.
Can I please move on to the next segment? You have both interrupted me now. If you do it again, I might have to fire you. You're going to be begging.
Is that what it takes? EP, you ready?
All right. Well, speaking of the breaking arena, there's a new product that they might be able to break there pretty soon. Did you guys see this? I'm guessing you didn't, but Jersey Fusion. I'm not a big fan of those cards, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Same.
But Jersey Fusion and BGS, who we spoke about earlier, are combining to do a 1986 Fleer Jersey Fusion set. All the cards come in a BGS slab, and they're not putting the piece of game used memorabilia on the card. They're putting it to the right of the label on the slab. So in the upper right hand corner of the slab, there's a little piece of game used memorabilia. They have bought 50 complete sets of 1986 Fleer with a bunch of different game used items to put on there, and they're going to be selling these for $150 box. You'll get one card. The display boxes come like 5 mini boxes of one card per display box, and 3 of the 5 will have autographs. They also have Michael Jordan autographs, less than 10. They didn't say how many, but they said less than 10. Could be one, yeah. Because they've been buying some of those on the secondary market. They bought one from Goldin. It was a authentic card with the BGS 9 auto on it. And they also have autographs of other players like Julius Erving. They have Larry Bird. They have Magic Johnson. So, I mean, clearly this is a product made for breaking. Like, I'm sure it'll do really well for breakers. The problem is, like, the Michael Jordan autograph that they bought, they had reslabbed by BGS in these slabs, and they have a little logo man from one of his jerseys, but the piece is so small it's cut in half. So you have half of the damn logo man logo. So
top or bottom?
I believe it was the bottom part. Yes. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea, and I do give them that. And I'm not totally like, I don't like Jersey Fusion. I think they look really dumb just gluing those pieces of jersey on or whatever they do to regular cards. This I like a little better because they're not ruining the card by putting it on. But at the end of the day, the piece of memorabilia is so tiny. But the fact you can get a Michael Jordan autograph, like, that's gonna push the breaking value of this. Like, So I don't know. I'm saying it's kind of cool in some ways, but I don't like it in other ways. But for Jersey Fusion, probably a good thing that at least I have a little bit of positive.
Right. Doesn't it remind you when you went into like Walmart and you would see you could pull this this Tom Brady Bowman Chrome BGS 9.5. Yeah, you only have to buy literally every one and hope that it's actually in there. Yeah. Right. Like, but this is where we're at now because people can't manufacture cards anymore. Like, this is like doing these outside of the box things. You know, we talked about Leaf had done it before. They had bought like actual Panini cards and put their leftover stickers on them and then had them slabbed. And people have to think outside. Companies have to think outside the box because, again, in just a year or two, they're not going to be making cards. So, you know, what are you going to do when you have absolutely no opportunity to produce cards? You're going to have to do stuff like this.
Going to get creative.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it is an innovative for sure. You know, I'm with you, Mike, where I don't like Jersey Fusion. First time I saw one of them, I was like, what is this Frankenstein thing? Like, and I'm not a big fan at all. And it feels weird that BGS is working with them on it. It feels like a really weird thing. And then the way that they're going to put it in the slab also is a weird thing. And again, it's innovation, but I think, imagining it in my head, I don't think it's going to look very good, and there's no way I will get any of these. Like this, it's not for me whatsoever. No, and I don't want to yuck on people's yums who do like Jersey Fusion. If you do like it, it's fine. But just for my opinion, I just have never liked those cards at all myself, and so this is innovation that I would not have asked for myself.
Yeah, but it'll definitely be a popular breaking product. And,
sure.
I mean. That's where we are in the hobby. We see a lot of companies. They're like, okay, what can we sell to the breakers? If you can sell it to the breakers because the breakers can sell it, you're going to sell it. So that's where we are. Well, one thing that probably won't be sold to the breakers is my purchase I made at a yard sale the other day.
But I mean, it could be. You never know.
That's not really the story. I took a picture. Let me share it here. See if I can find it here. There we go. And I got to find the picture now because I'm in the wrong spot. There. I bought this tub of cards at a yard sale. I just wanted to do some Twitter stuff, right? So I took a picture of the tub and I asked, found this at a yard sale. Would you pay $50 for this? And kind of as a social experiment in the hobby. And I got over 77,000 views, I think, on this or something so far. The tweet went viral. I have all kinds of people commenting, getting all kinds of comments from the hell no's to the hell yeahs, which I just find interesting. Like, I don't disagree with anybody's opinion because clearly, if you're somebody who buys modern cards and you buy slab cards, you don't have any interest in that you're seeing on the screen, right? But then there are other people like us, and there was one person in particular there that said, for $50, the nostalgia alone for me to be able to sit down and go through this and like relive my childhood is worth it to me. And I'm like, I even told that person, I love this answer. And it was a lot of fun just seeing the different ways people view the hobby and like realizing there's no right or wrong. You're absolutely in the right if you say, hell no, I'm not buying that, you idiot. Like some of the people go a little too far with the mansplaining and card splaining it to me. Like, yeah, I already know what's in there. I bought it. Like, I've already looked through it. I looked through it before I bought it. That wasn't really the thing. I wasn't asking you whether I should. I was just asking in general, if you saw this, would it be something you'd be interested in? And I was fascinated just by the different answers and EP. I know you're getting that, right?
100%.
I know Joe isn't getting that. So like,
100%.
But I want to know the viewers. Let me know in the comments. Are you buying that?
Smash or pass, viewers. Smash or pass.
I don't know what that means, but if Joe said it, it must be real.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but fascinating that the tweet like went viral and like took off like that. I was just like, who are all these people commenting? Like my phone has not stopped even yet, like with comments on it. It's so cool though that like everybody, all these people have an opinion and want to just say to somebody they don't even know. Like most of them are just pretty much a yes or no. Like I said, you have some that go a little too far with the answer, but it's all good. Like you feel how you want to feel. Right?
I was gonna say, Mike, meet internet.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like I don't expect any different because it's the internet. That's how it works.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's the kind of photo that is a hell yeah for a lot of people and a hell no for a lot of people. Like that is the perfect example of one of those photos, right? I mean,
yeah, I loved that, like, because it was pretty much even. I think it was pretty good split. I didn't actually figure up the numbers, but it's pretty close to 50-50.
Though I really did appreciate the folks explaining cards to you. That was probably my favorite. I was waiting for the response. Don't you know who I am? Like I wanted that at least one time. Or a link to the channel or something would have been fantastic. But to your
Clearly,
point,
Joe, as I stated at the beginning of the podcast, I'm way too humble to say that.
That's not something we know about you. But by the way, Smash or Pass, you've never seen that on Twitter? Like it's usually like a food related thing. Like someone will show like a burger, right?
Yeah.
So, but to your point about EP would definitely smash, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Day would definitely pass. That's true for a ton of reasons, but for you guys specifically, this is your bread and butter when you do sales, right? Mm-hmm. This is your quarter boxes, 50-cent boxes or whatever at Shows EP. This is your 50-cent stack sale stuff. So, you know, if I sold like you guys sold, just like the style of selling that I did, this is a easy smash, right? I mean, if I was looking for it to find, you know, a LeBron James RPA, I'm probably going to pass, you know, like that's probably not what I'm going to get out of that box. So, you know, you have to kind of know what your intentions are. If it's just a fun trip down memory lane, $50 now. Do you know how a family of four can't eat at McDonald's for $50 now? So, you know, something like that is definitely worth the nostalgia factor.
And if anybody needs Buffy the Vampire Slayer cards, hit me up. I might have some.
Smash.
All right. I'm going to end things this week with, you know, we've been wondering what was going to happen with eBay getting Goldin and the whole PSA, the vault deal and everything. I found out because I got a notification from eBay the other day that Goldin was going to go live for the first time. And I watched that stream. I might have skipped over parts of it, but yeah, apparently they're doing like a reboot of Jersey Shore and trying to sell like memorabilia and cards and stuff while they're doing it. Right?
That's an accurate description.
Isn't it?
I hate you so much because you texted us in the morning. You're like, guys, watch a few minutes of this before we record.
Yeah.
And so I put it on and I'm sitting there and I think to myself, and I almost texted you this, but I wanted to keep it for the channel, save it for the pod, right? Years from now, I'm going to be on my deathbed and I'm going to look back at the 5 minutes of my life I wasted and just imagine what I could have done with that 5 minutes before I die. It was so cringy. And I love cringe. I love The Office. I love shows like that. I love cringy stuff like that.
From the beginning.
Out of the gates. Like
what was even happening at the beginning? What was even happening at the beginning? What was that supposed to be?
Did they
rent that house? Whose house was that? It's like, where were they? Maybe it was explained in hour 2, but I watched a solid 30 seconds. I skipped ahead and I watched another 30 seconds.
For our viewers, to give a little bit of context, what we're talking about is don't watch it, first of all. Second of all, it's filmed in upscale home, and it is a bunch of bros standing around. One guy's shirt is like unbuttoned all the way down to his belly button, and they're selling you. They're walking around the house and they have the different items, different places, and then they'll stop and sell you, run the auction. They did a lot of like sealed wax. They did some individual cards. They did a little bit of memorabilia, had some giveaways, but like if you want to be entertained and you know, again, don't yuck other people's yums, right, EP? Some people might like this. This might be the future of online sales to some people. I'm clearly not the target market for it because I watched it for a different reason, because I found it incredibly entertaining in that kind of car crash kind of way. It was just, I'm sure they had good intentions with what they thought and they were probably happy with it. But let's just say you're probably not going to be watching a series of it on Netflix. Although people did kind of watch that on Netflix.
I'll tell you what,
maybe
I watched a season 1 of it, and I'll probably watch season 2. It was nowhere near as cringe as this. Like, it was like, let us find.
It was like the B team doing it. Yeah.
Oh, it was so. It was like weird. It was beyond cringe. It was like weird. Like, what am I being subjected to? Why is Mike forcing this into my life? Is basically what I was thinking to myself the whole time. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if people actually like it, Mike, because I was reading the comments as they went up. They were not positive.
Oh, okay. I didn't read the comments.
I didn't see many. Oh, yeah, you get it, guys. It was all the comments were flaming them.
One of the first 10 comments that were on there, I believe, was the word cringe. And
I saw that one.
Yeah, so like I agree with you, Joe, 100% that I'm going to regret that click that link or tap that link that Mike put there. But it also reinforced to me that every time I get one of those notifications like, oh, so and so is live on eBay right now, that I'm just never gonna click on any of those. It's not. This is not. If this
was a totally different level though of that kind of thing. Again, I give them credit for trying to do something different. Maybe
sure.
It felt like something you would see on Whatnot. It didn't feel like something you would see on eBay generally. Like, it felt like a Whatnot stream to me, like a backyard breaks.
Than anything I've ever. I think it's worse than backyard breaks.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah, I mean,
the whole moving around the house and
that part.
Yeah,
it
was really I think they tried way too hard. I think it was a super try hard thing.
Someone thought this was a fantastic idea.
Sitting out on the couch, way out of like the range of the camera at the beginning for like a couple minutes before things really start. That's what
I was gonna say. So please, nobody watch this. But it opens with
watch it.
It opens with music playing in the background, and you can see somebody sitting, like Mike said, like on the horizon, like so far away. He's almost it's almost the curvature of the earth. You can almost see it. He's that far away, and nobody is talking. Nobody's doing anything. And like Mike said, it's for like a minute and a half. Like, did they forget they were going live?
When you're watching a video, makes it seem like it was like 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then finally the person stands up and walks in. Then at one point they had some dude laying on the ground reading a book. And
I missed that part. Thank God Almighty.
So I mean, like, it was I had it on for I was like doing some stuff, like getting some cards together or whatever, and so I was like, I'll just let it keep playing. I was watching it, and
you didn't try and slit your own wrist with those cards as it's on in the background.
They were like cheering on the bidders as the stuff was bidding up, like going up and stuff, and I was like, and I feel like I don't know. I guess I feel like if we were doing it, we would do it way better. We'd have way more fun with it, and it would be way less.
We would do a caricature of this. Like, as a joke. Like, I think they were taking themselves really seriously.
Ken Goldin, call us. We're available.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Wait. One thing, real quick. I was going to mention at the top, and I don't know if we'll have another time. I'm still waiting to get fired. But anyway, because it's like George on Seinfeld trying to get fired from the Yankees so he could go work for the Mets because he was under contract. Do you guys remember? Anyway.
I don't remember.
Anyway.
So EP and I talk about him quite a bit. Little Victories on YouTube. He put out a video, which I think was the most fun video I've ever watched on YouTube in a long time. He took an old PSA slab and a new PSA slab and put them under different ridiculous scenarios to see how they would hold up. I'm not going to spoil it. If for those of you still watching, give it a watch. It's a fun video. He actually backs his car up into his garage door at one point, which is fucking hysterical. But yeah, definitely go watch that. He didn't shoot at it. He did not shoot at the slabs, which I did suggest to him that he does for part 2. But it is actually an educational video about how these slabs do or do not hold up. So I just wanted to shout that out. It's on my notes, so I didn't want to leave it hanging there.
Well, thank you so much for interrupting me trying to end this 3-hour-long podcast to promote somebody else's channel. But
hey, hold on a second.
A good chat this week. I will see you guys next week. Take care, guys.
See ya, boys.
Adios.